everybody, how's it growing today? I'm so glad you came by to see us in the garden. We're actually inside because it's been really cold for this whole week. We've had snow several times. One point this week we had about 3 inches of snow. It stuck around for 2 days. It's still been very cold. Winter's just not letting us go here in Zone 5B, upstate New York. My name's Steve Rock. I'm with Abomination Films. And I just wanted to show you some of the stuff we're going to be doing this week because we can't really work outside, so we got to do stuff inside. And this is something I found is one of the best tools I've ever used for inside. I have an older model of this, a little bit of different material. They actually put like stripes in the greenhouse netting. I'm not sure, why they changed that from the clear plastic they used to be. But this is how I start my seedlings inside. And you can get your hands on one of these at one of the grocery stores. I won't say which one, but if you see the boxes, you'll know. And it's only about $20. It was $19.99 plus tax. This is really, really a phenomenal deal for that price. It's made of metal tubes and plastic shelves. There's basically braces that hold it together and tubes that make up the structure. And then there's this green screen material that goes over the top. And they've actually changed it a little bit better in this one because they actually added the stops that let you be able to hold the door open while you're working instead of flopping it over the top like I've been doing with my plastic one for 2 years now. So saw that these were available again, said, hey, I've got to pick that up, and I thought it'd be a great thing to use for this channel, especially during a week when I can't really show you much that we're doing outside. I do have an update on some of my plants. So unfortunately, my peppers we had a problem with. We'll talk about that. And then as far as everything else, the onions, lettuces, everything is all germinated, ready to go. Go ahead. So this had to happen eventually. I might introduce him this time. This is Stan. Stan is a cat that I kind of took in because his owner passed away. And he's kind of cool. He's got a sister running around here. And they help keep the house pretty well maintained over here. And they're very cute and very friendly. And Leila might be the guardian of the garden, but this is the guardian of the house. He's also indoor-outdoor. Lola technically is too, so you might see them out there because there's one thing I got to tell you about, animals with the garden. I don't have any experience doing chickens, but as far as pets, if you do have like a barn cat in the area, as long as you're like rural like I am, it's going to do wonders for you as far as keeping you free of rodents. Because, I don't know if these guys just chase them or if they are actually killing and eating them. They just kind of disappear and they don't come around anymore once you got some cats roaming. So it's April 13th and it's been really cold the last few days and it looks like in the forecast as well. We've had snow 3 or 4 times. And actually today we had 3 inches happen overnight and it was about mostly gone by 10, 11 o'clock. But what's left is about an inch or so coating everywhere. And even though that's gotten sparse and you can see grass growing through it, it's cold enough where that's going to stay overnight. So they do call that poor man's fertilizer. And I understand it's kind of good for plants and I'm sure the lawn's going to love it and all that. But most of the things that I want to plant in the garden are things that would get killed instantly by something like that, especially being so young in the fragile state they would be being just planted. So we have to do what we can inside, and that means just keeping care of our seedlings, making sure everything's got water. At this point, if your seedlings are about 2 weeks old, you should probably start adding liquid fertilizer. Not a whole lot, but a small amount to your whatever you're watering your seeds with. So I don't know if you're using a spray bottle. I do have two that I keep. There's one that's blue for regular water and one that's green for fertilizer. So that's one that I use when I want to spray over everything. And I do that for some of the smaller stuff. It doesn't need to get a full soaking. It really just needs a good misting. To be healthy as far as you don't want to overwater things. Also, I try to underwater as much as possible, which that kind of gives you a little bit of an extra advantage because when you're underwatering, the seeds have to wick up the water into the soil from the tray. So as long as you don't have the tray really overflowing, you're going to be providing water constantly and not drowning out your plants. So that's one of the best things to do. That's why I invested in these seed trays, because that's something that didn't happen that well with those cardboard ones that I was talking about previously. The cardboard ones were a really nice idea. I was thinking, oh wow, look, these are biodegradable. That's better than buying plastic. And they're also really cheap. So I thought that was all good positives. And it turned out in my situation where I just don't like them. So I found out that, there's a reason to use a traditional seed tray and why they've been using them for decades. It's because they work well. So who am I to argue with science, I guess, huh? I'm just an idiot with a shovel. So we're going to be talking about a few things that we can do indoors. First, we're going to be talking about garden planting. So what I mean by that is right now, it's middle of April. In Zone 5B, you could start your seeds right now. As a matter of fact, you probably should be on some of your crops. You don't want to do something that you direct seed in the ground. Corn, carrots. For me, I don't see the point of starting cucumbers indoors. Squashes are also ones that grow like wildfire when they hit the ground. So they're ones you don't really need to start inside. Those can all start outside, no problem. So, that's why I like doing those direct seed. It just works out better. You're kind of wasting your time starting things inside like that. Carrots especially, though. Carrots really don't like to be disturbed. If you disturb a carrot, you'll get nothing but nice big green bushes and little tiny stick, if at all, underneath. I've had it happen plenty of times. Carrots are the thing that you kind of have to be careful with. They're very easy to grow, but spacing them, thinning them, and getting them to germinate are all kind of tricky. And if you don't do it properly, you end up with bad harvests. Basically, what you want to do is I encourage you to do your own research on your plants because, you're going to have a much better idea about what you're growing and how your growing conditions are than I will. But there are things that grow very well together. So when you're planting your garden, you're going to really want to think about something called either intercropping or companion planting. You'll see both keywords pop up on the internet. They pretty much mean the same thing, and that means growing a lot of plants close together that are friendly to each other. So one of the things that's the most easiest example I could give you of that would be the Three Sisters from your history books. So that's the growing method for crops that the Native Americans shared with the original settlers way, way, way back when the Mayflower hit. Or at least that's what the history books tell us. And so we have the corn, which grows up into a stalk. That gives the peas a trellis to climb. And below, the squash covers the ground and acts almost like a mulch to keep the water from evaporating and to let them all grow really nicely together. And the roots don't interfere with each other because they're at different levels. And it's one of the most ingenious things that is very simple to pull off, and it's very effective. So that's what we're going to be up to. We also want to plan out other things like how we're going to trellis things, what we're going to trellis, how we're going to do shade cloth, all that stuff. So basically plan out your garden. Really think about it. Your own space. For me personally, I look at this stuff and I think about what will grow good together. So for example, I started marigolds already because when the tomatoes go into the ground, I want some marigolds there right from the beginning. Why do I want marigolds there? Two reasons. One, I need as much insect activity of the right type as possible. Marigolds do that. They bring in things that are predators to things like hornworms. Um, Marigolds also get rid of root rot nematodes that can live in the soil. Basically, the marigold is constantly emitting a type of chemical into the soil that's really messing up the day of any root rot nematodes that might be in there, since I've grown tomatoes in the same spot for a few years. Now, I could do crop rotation, and I understand a lot of people out there are going, "You're talking about companion planting, and you don't do crop rotation?" No, I don't. Reason because I'm already manufacturing the growing conditions every year. I'm amending that soil every year. I'm not letting it get stripped out of nutrients. It really doesn't matter that much for me to move things around as long as I'm taking care of my soil. I'm fairly certain that every bit of that soil in there is very fertile for almost anything I want to grow. I may have to adjust it a little this way, for example, make it more acidic for berries, or I may have to adjust it in a different way where add some more sand to a certain section so it's nicer and looser for carrots. Those are the types of things I need to do to my soil now. And so I'm thinking about that stuff right here in April, 6 weeks before we can start. But marigolds are a wonderful thing for tomatoes. Basil as well. That's why I have basil started. Basil has a nice pungent smell that keeps away a lot of the bad insects. Same reason that there's garlic growing in my strawberries right now outside. These are all things that I do, so that way I minimize the amount of actual things I have to use in terms of pesticides or I've never used a pesticide. I don't know why I said that, but something like fungicides. I've used those when I have to. Neem oil. That's something I've used if I had to. So far, I really don't have an aphid problem. There's a couple big benefits to being out here in the middle of the woods. We have a lot of ladybugs naturally. So they go ahead and they eat up a lot of the aphids. You don't really have to worry about it that much. Plus, by growing all the right flowers, you're really attracting in a lot of those insects that are going to help you. So plan your garden out to include flowers, plants that grow nice together, and things that, you might need to do to your soil to ensure the proper growing. Welcome back to the garden. So I know we said it was going to be a cold and rainy week, and it has been. It's actually cold today, but we finally had a nice sunny afternoon. I wanted to get some stuff done outside for you as well. So Leila and I are here in the garden, and I wanted to talk to you about cardboard and how cardboard is a gardener's best friend. So this can be used as a weed blocker in the bottom of a bed like we showed you before. You can also use it to help certain things germinate, such as like carrots. Also, you can use it for growing boxes, like we're going to do soon with potatoes. But I also wanted to show you how you can use it for your paths. So I'm going to lay these out over the path, then I'm going to throw as much of my straw mulch down as I can. And then we're supposed to get more rain, so I'm not going to worry about watering it, but I'm going to let the rain pound on it, and hopefully it'll all stay nice and down and make some nice paths for us. So there you have it, folks. Mulch and cardboard, gardener's best friend. Stuff that's low cost or free, and you can use in so many different ways. It protects your plants, it makes your paths. You can grow in it. People have grown potatoes in straw bales. I mean, it's both things, cardboard and straw. They're kind of your secret weapon, and it's stuff you probably didn't even know you had. I also went ahead and decided to give you one of these that I can work on for this episode too. So this is the same inside greenhouse I'm using. You can use this one outside, obviously. I may be using one indoors and using both indoors right now because it's cold season, and then eventually moving one outside so that way it can act like a stage in between going all the way out to the garden. Just like for the hardening off sections. So we're going to be setting that up. So we've got the greenhouse all unpacked here. This thing's pretty simple. There's no tools really used to build it. You've got your green screen material. This is made exactly in the right shape and size for the end product. You've also got the shelves themselves. They're like wire shelves. And like I said, you know, for $20, I've seen furniture that's like not as sturdy as this go for twice that price. And I know this is something that, you know, it's not really like something you're going to use to like display your books or something. It's made specifically for this kind of purpose with light trays of seedlings and all that and being a greenhouse. But for the size and the value of it, $19.99 is just amazing. And it's at one of the grocery stores. I'm not sponsored, so I won't say which one. But if you saw the box and you've shopped there recently, you've probably seen it yourself. And it's widely available. And it's really useful, both for starting inside and for hardening off outside. For $20, it's one of the best things I've ever bought for my garden, and it's really done a great job. I added grow lights to the one inside as well as fans to simulate wind and all that. I actually have, while this one's inside, these new grow lights that I bought that I'm going to be using in it. And I'm going to make it 2 shelves just so that way I can make use of the space as some of the stuff gets bigger and bigger past the small height of the other shelves. First thing is to just go ahead and get these started. You're going to take your long ones and they're going to go inside facing each other. So 1, 2, 3. And then get your other one. Make sure that they're lined up properly. I don't know why there's a double in the middle. That's strange to me. Maybe they reinforced the centers since the last design. If so, that's nice that they're taking a look at these and changing things up to make things more functional. Boy, these are tough though, huh? There we go. Now she's together. Gotta make sure. 1, 2, 3. So basically you make a bunch of these and you stack them up and then you start adding shorter poles in between. And once you get to the top, you add your arch pieces and you're basically set to go. The structure is all built now, so you can see that it's got these shelves and then also the top, of course, angled just like that. And we're gonna put the green screen on last because right now I'm going to put the shelves on. There are locks that you can use that will go over one of these rungs on the wire, and then that'll lock it to the pole that the structure is made out of. So that is something that is useful. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be taking out one pole and one shelf in here to make a little more room for taller stuff. Because you can get some nice tall stuff in this part, and then the rest of them are kind of low. You know, but like right here, this is really nice to be able to do something with. So that's where some of the bigger stuff as it grows is going to end up, probably like the tomatoes and things like that. So the greenhouse screen, this fits right over the top. You can see it's shaped for it. And it's got zippers, and the same kind of thing as outside where it's got these tabs that help you be able to hold the zipper door up when you're not using it. And it's not the easiest thing. It's kind of like dressing a chicken. So this is our $20 greenhouse, and it was available from a local grocery store. I keep saying that the grocery store isn't getting any cheaper, but sometimes they have things like this that's just a phenomenal deal. And by doing this, yeah, it might hurt the store a little bit, but at the same time, I got to buy my meat somewhere, I'm still going to be coming back as a customer. But as far as, my veggies, I can get a lot of them started in just one of these. This will be my second one. Like I said, we're going to make it a halfway station between the greenhouse and the garden. But $20, 4 tiers. You can set this up outside and get an early start because it'll keep everything nice and warm with the natural sunlight, similar to what's working for the strawberries now. The other option is that you can use it inside next to a picture window like the other one I have and start your seeds in it. So thank you everybody for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope that everything's going well for you in your own lives. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. I'm just an idiot with a shovel, but if I can help, I'd love to try. And then if you have any topics for future videos you'd like to see us do, you can leave those there as well. Liking and sharing and subscribing is really going to help the channel grow. And it's you guys that have been doing that that's been greasing the wheels and letting us keep making these videos. We'll also have some more narrative stuff coming out this month. More information on that to come soon. And I'm hoping to get some real updates over when I'm going to be releasing some of our bigger projects this year. Besides that, I hope you keep checking in and seeing how we're doing. And I hope everything keeps growing well for you. Thank you so much, and I hope you all have a really nice day.